We now know the entire list of this year's Oscar nominees. I am joined by Perry Nemiroff of Collider here to talk through them, you guys. First, Perry, let's just dive into Best Picture because we just got it. It's the big one. As we were just saying, a little surprising to see nothing for things like Crazy Rich Asians totally shut out. Nothing for First Man, not that that's too, I mean, nothing in Best Picture for First Man, not that that's too much of a shocker. But overall, I feel solid about this category. It's not too surprising. What do you think?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I went 8 for 8 in this category. These were the 8 that I had getting in. The only one that I thought could have cracked that 9th spot, or maybe even stolen one of the nominations from the 8 that we have listed here, is If Beale Street Could Talk. But clearly that didn't happen, so this turned out to be a fairly predictable category.
What is really exciting, I think it might be the first time ever, Black Panther in that Best Picture category. A superhero movie is up for Best Picture. We love this, you guys. So deserved, so exciting. Glad to see the Oscars giving some recognition to a big box office superhero hit. How do you feel about it?
I'm right there with you. I was so happy to see it get the Best Picture honor because when we got to the writing categories, I thought it was going to pop up there as well, and it didn't. And when that happened, I started to get a little worried about the Best Picture nomination, but thankfully, it is here. It is hands down one of the best films of 2018. It deserves a spot.
I mean, what is interesting, and we kind of saw this happen with Black Panther at the Globes as well, is it sort of gets 1 or 2 big nominations and then shut out in a lot else. I mean, no Best Director nomination for Ryan Coogler for Black Panther, no Best Actress, no actor, no Best Supporting Actor or Actress. So it's interesting to see a movie in the Best Picture category, but shut out of all these other major arenas.
And, you know, I don't think it's going to go home with the actual statue for this, but this is a pretty big deal for superhero movies and also just for big blockbuster movies overall, especially in the year when we had that discussion about this popular film category, which personally I think is absolutely absurd. By having a popular film category, all of a sudden we take away the honor from a movie like Black Panther that outright deserves a real Best Picture nomination. So by putting that popular film category, you dilute the conversation. I hope they never do it because we have quality superhero films like this getting the wins.
Right. I mean, a lot of controversy for the Oscars this year. The popular film announcement came and went. They're not doing that. Still no host. Not gonna, you know. Let's talk nominees. Want to get into Best Director next because you and I were just shocked. Giving you guys the nominations in case you missed them just now. We learned for Best Director, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman. I'll be honest, I might mispronounce this, but Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite, Adam McKay for Vice, and then the movie Cold War getting a Best Director nomination. You and I were shocked. There's no Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born in this category. I am blown away.
The first shocking part of this announcement was Cold War. The second Cold War was announced, I thought to myself, wow, somebody on this list is getting snubbed. And even when you put in my extension of the category, not even the 5 that I thought would get nominated, but I had 2 other names on my list, neither of them were the Cold War director. I had gone Alfonso Cuarón, Bradley Cooper, Spike Lee, Peter Farrelly, and Yorgos Lanthimos for the 5, but then I also added the possibilities of Adam McKay and Barry Jenkins. No Barry Jenkins for If Beale Street Could Talk, same with the Best Picture category for that movie. And the 2 big omissions, the biggest one is definitely Bradley Cooper. I mean, from day one of anybody out there seeing A Star Is Born, I really was going into this assuming he would get 2 major nominations today. Best Actor, Best Director, no Best Director now, and on top of that, Peter Farrelly. That's
not
another surprise.
Green
Book is one of those movies where it has increased momentum every single step of the way, and that PGA win is a huge deal for that Best Picture category, and I did think that was going to have a ripple effect into director, and he's not there either.
Well, and what's interesting is Green Book, I mean, been surrounded by controversy as well. The writer, that old tweet resurfacing, which he apologized for. Peter Farrelly apologizing for this kind of inappropriate, very inappropriate. He called it a kind of a joke that he used to play, but he owned it. He acknowledged it. He said, I was an idiot for doing what I did. And he said sorry. And I really admired him because I did the Critics' Choice Awards carpet and he did interviews. He addressed that head on. So I think the movie's been able to overcome some of this controversy surrounding it. It's still got a nomination for Best Picture, still getting nominated in other categories at the Oscars today, but nothing Best Director-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it still does surprise me. I know that this movie has had more bumps on the road than most of these movies that we're talking about right now, and that can seriously affect its Oscar chances, but again, I keep going back to that PGA nomination, even though the Golden Globes doesn't necessarily affect Oscar voting, the Golden Globes is still the very beginning of award season, officially at the head of the year. And the fact that it took home that Best Picture win, that to me kind of set the tone for what we're seeing right now.
Well, again, Cold War, we were shocked by that. I'm also surprised to see The Favorite in there over Bradley Cooper and A Star is Born because as much, I love The Favorite, such a good movie, and the acting is amazing. It's so funny. It's just overall really well done. One of my favorite movies this season, but I thought we were going to absolutely see, as you said, Bradley Cooper getting an Oscar nomination for Best Director and for Best Actor, and then I thought the question would be, which one will he win, or will he be shut out of either? But I thought he was a lock for nominations.
I thought that was the conversation we were going to be having instead.
We love you, Bradley Cooper.
He did great work, and just because you don't have an Oscar nomination doesn't take away from that. So I hope anyone who doesn't get a nomination today realizes that.
Well, and A Star is Born getting nominated for Best Picture, and especially because, Sam Elliott, I thought he's such an icon in the industry, and he had lauded and acclaimed Bradley's directing all awards season long. Glad to see Sam Elliott getting a nomination. And let's move into Best Actor because Bradley is nominated there. So Bradley Cooper nominated for Best Actor for A Star is Born. We also have Christian Bale for Vice, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, Viggo Mortensen for Green Book, and here was our surprise, Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate. That's the only surprise name in here to me.
You're definitely right on that. Otherwise, I think this was going to be a 5 for 5 category. Willem Dafoe is definitely the big surprise here, and the second his name was announced, it's like, who's got to go here? And I really didn't think that At Eternity's Gate was, even seen by enough or talked about enough to crack this category. I thought it was going to be a lock 5 for 5. And, of the one that got omitted from the list, I'm not all that surprised that it was John David Washington. But I'm
bummed.
Sad,
I know. You know what, Perry, I want to get into that, so we're going to talk about it. But actually, let's move to a nominee. Yes, joining us now on the phone is Oscar nominee for Best Supporting Actor, Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me? Richard, can you hear me? Are you there? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm a grown man crying.
You're crying?
Yeah, I just am overwhelmed by this. Absolutely overwhelmed. I'm astonished. Thank you.
Richard, congratulations. I interviewed you at Palm Springs when you were there with your beautiful co-star Melissa McCarthy. Saw you again at a variety of award shows this season. What has this whole ride felt like for you, and how does it feel to now be culminating in an Oscar nomination?
It feels completely and utterly surreal, like it's happening to. If I didn't see my own eyeballs and feel what it was like, I would be say that this is happening to somebody else. But I know it is happening to me because I'm shaking as I speak to you. It's just an astonishment, and my debt is entirely to Melissa McCarthy and Marielle Heller, the director and star of this movie, who. Yeah, all of this I share with them, and I just heard that Melissa has been nominated as well, so I couldn't be more thrilled if I tried. I'm absolutely gobsmacked.
Watching the journey between you two this award season has been such a treat because the way you two play off each other, the fun you're having together. What is the Oscars night going to be like for you two together?
I feel like I've won just to have the privilege and the pleasure of working with Melissa. So, it feels like all of this is, topping on the wedding cake.
And like you said, nominated together. I know you're on the phone with us now as we've just heard this. Have you spoken to Melissa yet? Did you shoot her a text? What is that conversation going to be like if it hasn't happened yet?
I haven't. I've sent her a text, and as soon as I'm done talking to you, I'm going to call her immediately.
Well, thank you for talking to us before you even got on the phone with your co-star. We appreciate it. What about friends, family? I'm sure your phone is blowing up right now.
It is, yeah. bleeping. So I'm thrilled. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
And Richard, I guess just one last question for you. I love that you said You're crying, you're shaking. I say that I love that in the way of what an emotional moment. I mean, you've had such an incredible career. Is this a moment where you're thinking, my God, here I am, and all this hard work has gotten me to an unbelievable point right now?
Yeah, completely unbelievable. I've literally just walked past with my daughter. I walked past the bedsit, one-room, you can't even call it an apartment, that I rented for $50 a week 36 years ago when I first came to London trying to be an actor, and I was a waiter. So that I'm sitting in, a luxury car right now speaking to you round the corner from where I first lived in London is off Portobello Road in Notting Hill Gate. It's a complete astonishment.
What a moment, so full circle. And my last question I have to ask you, Melissa brought some ham sandwiches to the Golden Globes and passed them out to the people. And I'm wondering what fabulous stunt you guys might have in store for the Oscars audience.
Watch this space. I'll come with a backpack.
You know what? Bring the snacks, bring the tears, bring it all. We cannot wait to watch you. And, do you know what you're going to wear yet, Richard? Now you've got to think about that red carpet look, because we're looking at a beautiful photo of you right now.
I have no idea. It's much easier for boys because, the choice is pretty limited. It says black tie, and I'll oblige.
Well, all our congratulations to you. Cannot wait to see you on the red carpet. Richard E. Grant, an Oscar nominee this morning for Can You Ever Forgive Me? Richard, thank you so much. And go get on the phone with Melissa and then tell us how that conversation goes, too.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So exciting to hear from him. I love that he said he was crying and shaking. The two of them on the red carpet this awards season has been so much fun to watch because they're like, they're in partnerships with other people, but it's like watching a hilarious husband and wife team together. They have so much fun together.
Yeah, and their chemistry in that movie is exceptional, to say the least.
Exceptional. And of that movie, Can You Ever Forgive Me, getting several nominations this morning based on a true story. Melissa McCarthy, Oscar nominee. She was Oscar nominated for Bridesmaids, wasn't she? Yes. So this is her first time back and for a much, much different role. It's exciting to see. Let's talk Best Actor because that's kind of where we dropped off before we got on the phone with Richard E. Grant just now. So the nominees for Best Actor, Christian Bale for Vice, Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody, Bradley Cooper, Star is Born, Viggo Mortensen, Green Book, and Willem Dafoe at Eternity's Gate. Like we were saying, Perry, Willem Dafoe, the surprise there. And then, man, you and I were saying we're bummed not to see John David Washington for BlacKkKlansman.
Yeah, I was rooting for him in all of the acting categories. I had stuck very closely to the SAG nominees, and looking at this list right now, had you swapped in John David Washington for Willem Dafoe, it would exactly mirror the leading actor category for the SAG nomination. So that's what I thought was going to happen. It's not that Willem Dafoe is undeserving, but I think even beyond the two of us, many out there were rooting for John David Washington, who gives an exceptional performance in BlacKkKlansman 2. So I am sad to not see him here, but regardless, I still think that this category is a three-man race. Christian Bale, Rami Malek, and Bradley Cooper. Even though Green Book is getting all the love right now, Viggo Mortensen, I think, deserved the nomination again, but I don't think he has any chance of topping one of the other three that I just named.
I'm blanking right now. When Christian won for Vice earlier this award, was that at the Globes that he won?
Christian Bale, I know, just because the Critics' Choice Awards are fresh on my brain. He won there, and he also won at the Globes as well.
I'm trying to remember if he won in Best Actor or Best Supporting at the Globes. I'm blanking on that,
Actor.
But Best Actor.
Yes.
So, well, that's the thing, right? It's interesting because these movies are kind of, they're all running in pace with each other in terms of the acclaim that they're getting. I don't think there's been one clear favorite all season long. It will also be interesting to me to see if Bradley might win now in this category because he didn't get that Best Director moment.
It is a very fair point. I do think that that's the kind of conversation we're going to be having all the way through February now. Now that everyone sits down and they're not saying to themselves, because remember, voters are human beings too. Oh, if I vote for Bradley Cooper in the director
category, there's an emotional aspect to voting.
I shouldn't vote for him in actor. Now that he's in just the acting category, I think that kicks him up a notch in that particular category.
I think so too. I think because when you talk about the other awards shows, some people may have thought, I'll give him director, some thought I'll give him actor, and he ends up splitting the votes a little bit on himself. And like you were saying, there's this aspect of, I think, a voter personally who wants to be fair, wants to give love, love. Remember, all these people are also friends with each other. So, oh, I love Bradley. What do I want to give him here? I am also bummed not to see John David Washington, just because selfishly, I wanted to see, I mean, he is such a charismatic person. I wanted to see what he was going to wear, what he was going to say, and I wanted to see him with Mom and Pop, Denzel and Paula Washington at the Oscars. What a full circle, incredible familial moment that would have been.
With that Best Picture nomination, he will still be here.
Well, that's true. Oh, good.
You know, we're going to get to see him on the red carpet and all that good stuff. But going into today's nominations, I was very much looking forward to talking about that movie getting Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, and also Best Actor. It is unfortunate that it missed out on one, but BlacKkKlansman still getting a lot of love all around.
All around. And Adam Driver, that Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
All right, everybody. We are continuing our coverage on ET Live of the Oscar nominees this morning as award season tells us how it's all going to end. Don't forget, of course, download our app for Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. We are also available on Android and iOS, and we are streaming 24/7 at etlive.com. We're going to be right back talking Best Actress and more.